So Jonathan Isaac was one of my guys almost since he got drafted. I mean, I'm not the only one. We all saw the size, athleticism, and the defensive potential with this guy. I have said this in places. I don't know if I've ever said it on a video, but I think of him as the next Shawn Marion with just his defensive potential and how much of a terror he can be in transition, and the fact that I think he can grab like 12 rebounds a game and stuff. And it started to happen this year. I mean, he was already a good defender. That was farther along than anything else with his game. But now the defense is really getting to the level of which I think we all thought it could with him. And, you know, it's happening in year 3. I mean, he's getting nearly 3 blocks a game, a steal a game. The Magic are great defensively when he's in the game. Granted, they're also pretty decent without him, but, you know, that's against second units and whatever else. I mean, he's doing this against starters. I mean, you just look at, like, the Bucks game. I think he blocked Giannis twice. He blocked James Harden step back. He blocked Anthony Davis on a post-up. And these are just the easy things. These aren't even taking into account just the things he's doing possession to possession that don't show up in the stat sheets at all. One thing that I think he's gotten really, really good at is knowing when to leave his guy to contest a shot or simply get in the way of a ball handler. Because some dudes just suck at that. You know, they go too late, they go too early, it's a wide open 3, whatever. With Isaac, he just times it just right. And I feel like he's also very smart at knowing what ball handlers to dare to make a play and which ones to not do it as much on. I think it also helps that, of course, because of how big and his wingspan and his athleticism and all that, he can close out on more dudes than the average NBA player can. So he definitely has some extra leeway in that. But even so, his defensive instincts combined with the physical tools, it really is something to watch. I think at times he looks like Serge Ibaka for OKC when he would be coming out of nowhere for weak side blocks. But I think he also kind of looks like Al Horford, where you want to post him up and he doesn't move as easily as you might think, and before you know it, the contest is right in your face or he's blocking your shot or whatever. And he's even shown some signs of, like, you know, when Mitchell Robinson will stretch out to the perimeter to block some three-point shooter or whatever, Isaac shows that as well. I mean, the only potential weakness that he has defensively is that he is still a little light. Now, he's not actually that light. According to CBS Sports, he's actually up to about 230 pounds. And that's certainly good enough against all perimeter players, we would assume. But, you know, number one, your weight's going to go down as the season goes along. We hear about that all the time. Guys come into training camp a little heavier than what they end up at, assuming they don't eat themselves, you know, into something a little too much. But, you know, against bigs, that could still be a little too light. But, of course, you don't want to gain too much weight. You want to maintain that athleticism and everything. And Isaac has certainly done that. And he does look a little bigger as compared to his rookie season or whatever. But, I don't know. I guess that'll be interesting. I don't think he needs to become some jacked 3 or 4 or whatever. He doesn't need to be David West out there. But perhaps there could still be a little bit of room for more weight gain or whatever else. You have to assume he's also just going to age into it a little bit more. He's only 22 years old. I mean, the guy still has a lot of maturing physically to do, I guess. Now, another thing I want to point out is how he's doing this at the 3 and the 4. He's, according to Basketball Reference, he's playing about 60% of his time at the small forward spot and about 40% of the time at power forward. And should I care about that? I feel like it's pretty cool that he can be on somebody a little bigger or a little smaller and quicker and still be totally fine. Now, personally, I think his potential is maybe a little higher at the 4 just because he's a little closer to the basket. But, you know, they got the whole him and Gordon thing going on, and I guess that's something I can talk about in a little bit. But yeah, defensively, Isaac is he's here. He's arrived. I mean, he was always good with flashes of being amazing, and now those flashes are becoming a little more of the normal thing for him. Is he where does he rank right now in the all defense stuff? I think for all defense forwards, AD is definitely one of them. I mean, he's the defensive player of the year so far to me. And then I think it's probably between Giannis and Isaac for that other spot. And then the other one would definitely get all second team. So I think that's where Isaac is at right now. All defense at the worst second team. And if you wanted to make a case for first team, I really would not, I wouldn't fault you for it. I guess whether you consider Jimmy Butler a 3 or a 2 would make this interesting as well. It gets tough. There's a few more names than you might think. But anyway, he's been really good. If we could talk about his offense, that matters too. It's cool. Almost 2 offensive boards a game. Free throws continue to be good. His threes continue to be good enough to be intrigued, but he's not going nuts on them. His form remains solid. I still think he's going to be a good shooter. However, I think you could argue that he has been maybe a little jump shot happy. There's been more than 0 pull-up jumpers or weird turnaround jumpers. He's attempting about 25% of his shots from 10 feet to long 2-point range. He's not good at them. And there are also a couple times where he's tried some things off the dribble and it hasn't gone very well. This is another reason why I feel like he maybe should just be the power forward and they should trade Aaron Gordon for some sort of like shooting or whatever. Because if you just get Isaac at the 4 spot and he can just roll to the rim and focus on getting rebounds and just living at the basket pretty much, I feel like it would unlock more of his offensive game. Because, I've said it before, I think he can be a great rebounder, and his finishing at the basket up to this point has been pretty damn good, and it would hopefully cut out a lot of those mid-range jumpers and stuff. And does this mean you'd have to give up on Aaron Gordon? Yeah, but honestly at this point I'm kind of fine with it. Like, Gordon, he wants to be this perimeter shot creator dude when he really should just embrace being the athletic Draymond. And he has not been good this season. So, on the flip side, I don't really think Isaac has a problem with not having the ball all the time and stuff. And defensively, he would maybe be even a little more frightening just because he's closer to the basket and stuff. A small part of me also believes that may allow Isaac to shoot more corner threes. I mean, I don't know. The normal thing is if you're the 3, then you're a little closer to like the top of the key or whatever, and if you're the 4, you're closer to the corner, even though it's not impossible to just put a small forward at the corner. But I don't know, watching the Magic offense and looking at the shot charts a little bit and seeing how many threes Isaac has attempted from the top of the key or the elbows or whatever, maybe it could be an idea where if Gordon's not there, maybe it just makes it a little easier to just slot Isaac at the corner. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe they could just do it now and Steve Clifford's a clown. But I do still really love the idea of no Aaron Gordon, Isaac at the 4, and more shooting for this Magic team. So I think that's all I got. Jonathan Isaac has been really, really good. I think to predict a stat line for him, should I do this season? Should I do moving forward? I mean, this season it's 12.5, 7 boards, all defense candidate. I feel like that's going to kind of stay in line, but I feel like his ceiling is about 17, 18 a game, just off of offensive rebounds, cuts, transition, dunks, and hopefully being just solid enough at open three-pointers. I would say like 11, 12 rebounds a game, and then defensive player of the year candidate competing with Giannis and AD for first team all defense. And, Draymond, depending on how his, next stage of his career goes, and Jimmy Butler and other guys, but, being in that conversation for the best defensive forward year in and year out.